What's going on, everybody? As I said in my last video, I have not been feeling the greatest as of lately. I haven't really had the opportunity to go to the theater very much, but I have been watching some movies at home, trying to get caught up on some things from last year that I haven't seen, and also watching some newer releases on like Shudder and Amazon and anywhere that I can find some newer releases there. But I got around to watching a movie that I was really looking forward to that came out last year because of just the great performers that are in it. It's Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, which I was really looking forward to. And that film is The Lost Daughter. The Lost Daughter is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal and tells the story of a woman's seaside vacation when it takes a dark turn, when her obsession with a young mother forces her to confront secrets from her past. This is a really fantastic directorial debut for Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think there's some moments in it that are a little slower paced, that takes its time a little too much. It's really reliant on flashback sequences, but I don't think that's to the movie's detriment. I think it gives the ability to kind of parallel Olivia Colman's current state with how she was feeling when she was younger and why she has this fascination with Dakota Johnson's character. Olivia Colman's character goes on vacation and she gets to this spot on this beach, and when she's out one day she sees Dakota Johnson's character taking care of this young girl and sees her interacting with her family. They kind of get into it at one point, Dakota Johnson's mother and Olivia Colman, and she starts to get to know the family a little more when their daughter runs off and Olivia Colman finds her and brings it back to her, and that sort of brings the relationship together to where they have a little more respect for her. But there's always this tension, and then amidst all of that going on, you have these flashbacks to her younger self, played by Jessie Buckley, and seeing how she raised her own children and the problems in her life and just kind of how that affects her as an adult. This movie was really impressive, I think, for a directorial debut especially. I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal is someone who's been working in the industry for quite some time, so it's no surprise that she's taken from other directors that she's working with and really applied that to her own style of filmmaking. But she really gets some great performances. I think Olivia Colman is one of the best actresses working today. Every time I see her in something, she just gets better, and this is no exception. This is one of the top tier performances I've seen from her, next to The Favorite, which I think is fantastic. She just is really committed to this role and does a great job, and you really get into the psyche of her character because her character isn't necessarily a good person. I think what's really great about this movie, and that not a lot of people have really discussed, is that this movie looks at human beings through a really unique lens, which is that we're all kind of flawed and not great humans at all times. And all of the characters in this movie are not 100% likable. There's elements where you like them and that you're invested with their characters, but there's also moments where they do things that you just can't comprehend, and you look at yourself and say, why would a person do this? But you put yourself in their shoes and you understand their circumstances, and you kind of get the idea as to why they're doing what they're doing. And you have Olivia Colman's character. She's a college professor and a translator, and she's really highly intellectual. When she's taking her bags up into her room at the beginning, like all of them are filled with books. She travels with her books everywhere. And when she has these flashbacks to her younger self, played by Jessie Buckley, you see like all the languages that she knows and just how intellectual her and her husband are. She's all alone. She doesn't have anyone on the vacation with her. She makes a call really early on into the film, but it's very brief. Like I said, she develops this fascination with Dakota Johnson's character, and throughout the film you're trying to understand why. But you dive into her past and how she really was not a good mom to her kid. She made a lot of selfish decisions, but it's also in the vein of she's this really intelligent person who wanted to be incredibly successful in her career, and the decisions that she had to make as a parent to kind of push that part of her life aside so that she could raise a family, and how you can tell that she really would not have chosen to raise a family, and her husband at the same time was working towards a common goal to be really successful in his career, and they both have these two kids, and neither one of them wants to take the time to really be a great parent, and they're kind of putting their kids off, and you can kind of see the damage that that causes in present day with their relationship. And that's what I liked about this movie, is getting in the head of those characters and seeing the damage that was caused to Olivia Colman by her own actions and then by surrounding factors. And then when you look at Dakota Johnson's character, her character is almost a spitting image of where Olivia Colman was when she was younger. And you see the decisions that she's making, and she's there with her husband, but she's also having an affair with a guy on the island while they're on vacation. And Dakota Johnson's husband is clearly seems to be a horrible asshole. And you can kind of get inside her head where they have conversations. She doesn't really want to be a parent either, but she cares for her kid. And Olivia Colman has this really incredible speech at one point in the movie about, you know, taking care of her daughters and missing them and deciding that being a parent was something that she wanted in her life, even when she was dedicating things to a career. And what I loved so much about that speech in particular is it shows a broken side to a person that is so vulnerable and real and admitting of something that most people wouldn't want to admit, because when you live in a world that's so centric on having children, starting a family, kind of pushing your career aside to do these types of things, not enough people are willing to step back and admit and say, hey, I became a parent before I was ready. I really would not have made this decision if I had the choice, and I would have pursued my career. The best thing about this film is kind of this, it's a very nihilistic look at parenthood and the world as a whole, but at the same time, it's really authentic and beautiful. And I thought that it was really well made. The cinematography in this is gorgeous. You have this beautiful backdrop of the beach that Olivia Colman's staying in. The flashback sequences with her characters, Jessie Buckley, are shot so well. There's a lot of really beautiful close-up imagery in those shots, really hanging on her and what she's going through. Jessie Buckley's performance is phenomenal. She's another actress who I really look forward to whatever she's going to be in next. I loved her and I'm thinking of ending things. But she really is dedicated to this role, and it translates so well over to Olivia Colman when you go back into the present day, and they really reflect off of each other really well. And that was one of my favorite parts of the film. Dakota Johnson does a fantastic job. I think she's a great actress. She's not given a whole ton of dialogue in this movie. Most of what we get from her is through her facial expressions and interactions through her family from a distance. But I think the three of them are really the standout performers in this movie. Seeing these characters who are all inherently flawed, because as human beings, we're all inherently flawed. And that's what I liked so much about this movie. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend checking out The Lost Daughter. So have you seen The Lost Daughter yet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this was a really great movie and a very good directorial debut. As always, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material. I try to release a video a week for you, more if I can. I'm looking forward to getting more content out for you very soon. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.